Greetings, friends of the universe. Today we are going to discuss the feline humanoid race. Who are these feline beings, where do they come from, and what is their history and place in the galactic theater? Let's start. The Lyrans are a race of feline humanoid beings that have been in existence long before the history of Earth began. The felines are a bipedal race that stand from 12 to 16 feet tall. Their skin is covered by a sort of soft fuzz. Their eye color ranges from blue to gold. They also turn from a golden brown color to white and can change as they mature. The felines are protective and loving beings, but they also embody confidence, fearlessness, and conviction. They are born leaders and are very diplomatic. Many people who connected with them, whether in dream, meditation, or channeling, say that they feel powerful sense of love and connectedness when they are near them. The felines are a very peaceful beings with an endless culture concerning their almost billion-year-old existence since their ascension. The overall feline temperament is warm, sanguine, and intellectual. As they mature, they take on more of a somber, introspective, and gentle nature. The elders are revered for the wisdom, compassion, and insight they possess. The females are revered and honored in equal status with the males. And true to the feline way, they are all very curious and inquisitive. They came from many planets associated with the star system of Lyra. The Lyra star system is located on 162 light-years away from Earth. The feline race's home planet is called Avian, although it's not pronounced the same way because it can't be pronounced in English. This planet is blue, it has 2 suns, and has a variety of vegetation and life forms. Avian was a paradise planet with mountains, lakes, streams, and oceans. It is known to have many small waterfalls dotted all across the planet's land surface, and this is where most cities were developed. They have wonderful towns and cities, but many are very isolated or small due to the fact that they can only go so far until they could possibly hurt the environment around them, like trees or animal species. So a large majority of these places were put upon grassy fields and oases. Long ago, before time as we know it began, the felines arrived in the Lyran constellation and set their home. When they first arrived in this universe, they were in etheric form and therefore went through the stage of evolving a physical body in which to reside on the planet. After many millions of years, they evolved some beings residing in their planet who looked much like our lions, cats, and other similar species. The etheric beings, later known as the feline race, began incarnating into those forms. As part of the plan, a portion of the original felines stayed in etheric form to provide guidance to those incarnating. They would be the equivalent of our modern-day Christ angels, spirit guides, and other etheric beings, helping us in our spiritual evolution. Since Avian was a third-dimensional planet, once the etheric felines incarnated, they would fall under the veil of amnesia, and they won't remember anything about their etheric past lives. That is part of the workings of a third-dimensional planet of free will. Our Earth works the same way, and that is why when we incarnate, we don't remember our past lives. As time passed, and through countless incarnation cycles, the feline race evolved a line of felines that walked upright and retained the consciousness of their etheric counterparts, thanks to the periodic incarnations of some of the etheric felines and DNA from a bipedal mammal, similar to the Earth's ape, that was evolving on the planet as well. With the DNA from the mammals, the felines were able to take on a more human-like body while retaining most of the facial features and other characteristics of the feline. It was from this crossing, when it reached a certain stage, that the genetic line, known as the royal line of Avian or House of Avian, came into existence. The etheric felines would continue to take turns incarnating to provide not only DNA upgrading but teaching and training in higher dimensional principles, lest their planet-bound brothers and sisters get stuck in the non-sentient animal incarnation cycle. As you can see, the felines evolved on Avian in much the same manner as humans evolved here on Earth. The only difference is that the humans did get stuck in the animal cycle. In time, the conscious felines grew large enough in number to take on the responsibilities of planetary guardians of their homeworld. They continued to evolve and eventually developed the technology for space travel. Their etheric brothers and sisters continued to act as their guides from higher dimensions. Many among them became geneticists, a feline specialty, and began helping to develop life forms of various kinds for planets and stars in the universe. Some among them became great space explorers and scientists of various kinds. If it wasn't for them, we wouldn't be here now, since they uplifted our own creators, the Pleiadians. And for several years, they continued this process of creation, and as a result, thousands of races rose into perfect balance and oneness with the universe, alongside with the mighty and loving felines, who were called Lyrans because of their homeland, located in the Lyra star system. This great surge of light attracted negative beings through natural universal law, requiring balance. For a long time, they mingled peacefully for many years in perfect balance, and they too created beings to further balance the galaxy. And for a long time, the galaxy was in peace and harmony for millions of happy years to come. But something occurred that made the negative beings angry at the feline Lyrans and their creations, and after many attempts to make peace once again, a fellow allied star system was attacked by reptilian and bird humanoid beings from the Draconian Empire. This horrible event is known as the Great Galactic War. After billions had been killed, the felines feared that their homeland would not make it to the end of this war. Not too long after, the Lyrans were introduced to an ultimatum. Either they leave their homeworld and never come back again, or they die by the reptilian warcraft and be sent to extinction. In such desperate times, when the attacks began, a large majority fled to neighboring universes and took everything they could to accompany them. The felines told the humanoid species that they had most recently created to escape from the attack and to make homeworlds elsewhere. They broke into 3 distinct factions and left in search of other planets to prosper, which would later become the Pleiadian, the Orion, and the Andromedan humanoid races. A terrible bombing run was released onto the great, abandoned, and once peaceful and serene lands of the Lyran homeworlds. Little was left of their history afterward, and none of their cities were left unmarked by the great destructive bombs of war. The reptilians thought they had succeeded in their genocide of the Lyran race and that all were truly extinct from this universe. Fortunately, that wasn't true. A group of shamans and priests were specifically chosen to keep the teachings, the history, and the beautiful and peaceful culture of the Lyrans alive forever. Afterward, many left their physical bodies to become immortalized, not for the purpose of living near forever, but to spread their message more easily across the galaxy. To the ones who listened to these divine priests and shamans, now knew that the Lyrans were still very alive and that they were always there for the sons and daughters that they had helped create and uplift. This was mainly their message to spread hope to the positive beings of the galaxy. Because partly of their virtue, the moral of the positive beings at war was greatly increased, and then they established a uniting rebellion federation. that would bring together all of the beings that wanted to be free of the reptilian grasp and even against towering odds of their much smaller force. This united force of beings of the light eventually made the reptilians surrender years later. This united force would later be known as the Galactic Federation of Light. Without the Lyrans, the war would never have ended on such a note, and the reptilians would have completely unbalanced the universe while killing billions of innocent lives. The felines eventually settled in Sirius, although, during their galactic travels, the felines had colonized other planets, most notably in the Pleiades star cluster. The felines eventually colonized a planet that orbited the Great Sirius A star in the constellation of Canis Major. On this heavenly planet of transcendental magnificence, the felines delightfully and tranquilly basked in the picturesque glory of their divine planet. Their society was a world of peace, benevolence, and understanding for their fellow beings. There was no wars, sickness, disease, perversion, greed, avarice, or any of the hideous darkness which is often found on earth. They desired to share their benignity and benevolence with other beings on other planets, and so many felines eventually traveled to Earth approximately 1 million years ago. And during such a time, Earth had been invaded by reptilians from the Draconian Empire. A war ensued between the felines and the reptilians once again. The reptilians were driven underground. However, many humans had willingly turned to the dark and had brought about their own destruction. The Demas of Lemuria and Atlantis some 13,000 years ago. As the humans had generally brought such darkness upon themselves, they had to collectively experience the karmic ramifications of their own darkness, as they have for the last 13,000 years. Despite this, however, the feline race still worked with earthlings who sought to better themselves, both spiritually and physically, as did the Pleiadians, who were closer comrades of the feline race. The evidence for the feline Lyran beings can be found in Egyptian hieroglyphics and statues and stories of Egyptian gods and goddess. Some notable examples of this are the great feline humanoid goddess, Bastet, and her lion sun god, Myhos. Other Egyptian examples of feline beings, gods, and goddess are Sekhmet and Tefnut. Ancient Egyptian legends say that cats come from heaven and were brought here by the gods themselves. Cats are not just pets, since we all know about the huge mysticism around them in human history. In ancient Egypt, cats were held in such high regard that the penalty for killing one was death. Ancient Egyptians also believed that cats could predict the future and that their eyes stored the life-giving rays of the sun. The goddess Bastet was a protector of women's fertility and guardian against evil spirits and disease. She was commonly depicted as woman with a cat's head. In ancient China, the goddess Li Shu was also depicted in cat form and seen to protect against evil spirits and also acted as a guardian to women's fertility. Furthermore, the evidence can be found with modern-day experiences too. Countless of people connected with them in meditations, dreams, and through channeling. Thank you for watching. Please give us a like and join our spiritual kingdom by clicking the subscribe button.